Good morning. Today we will discuss about the claims of Taiwan or Republic of China in the South China Sea and the legal foundations of their claims. Also, the islands and bodies of water being claimed by Taiwan. Taiwan, officially known as the Republic of China or ROC, asserts territorial and maritime claims over several islands and waters in the South China Sea. These claims are based on historical records, international treaties, and strategic interests. However, Taiwan's claims overlap with those of multiple countries, including China, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Unlike China's 9-line claim, Taiwan's legal and political standing is unique, as it is not a member of the United Nations and faces diplomatic isolation. In this presentation, we will explore the details of Taiwan's claims and the challenges they face.
South China Sea is a complex and contested region, with the multiple countries claiming sovereignty and over various islands and their waters. The historical legal foundation for those claims are under debate, with different interpretation and perspective. One key aspect of this claim is the role of past dynasty, especially the Ming and Qing dynasty in China. Record from this dynasty mention navigation and control over the South China Sea, which is argued support with the claims. Another important factor, Cairo and Potsdam Declaration of 1943 and 1945, which stated that territories taken by Japan should be returned to China, including islands in South China Sea. However, San Francisco Peace Treaty of 1951, which formally ended for World War II, did not specially address sovereignty over this island, leaving issues to open interpretation. Furthermore, both Taiwan and China assert historical maritime rights based on their U-shaped line, also known as 9-line. Finally, the 2016 Hague Tribunal ruling with address with the South China Sea dispute provide furthermore context and legal analysis of the region. This complex affair, historical and legal foundation continues to shape an ongoing dispute of the South China Sea.
This map visually represents Taiwan's claims in the South China Sea. The 11-line is originally drawn by the Republic of China in 1947. It outlines the claimed waters and islands. Taiping Island, or also called Aba. It is the largest natural island in the Sprat list. It is marked as under Taiwan's control. Pratas Islands, also called Dongsha, in the northern part of the South China Sea, are also under Taiwan's jurisdiction. The map also highlights the overlapping claims with China, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia, emphasizing the complexity of the territorial disputes.
Taiwan claims severe islands and water in the South China Sea, a region known for territorial disputes involving multiple countries. Here, a breakdown of the key features Taiwan claims. First, Taiping Island or Aba. This is the largest natural island in the Spratly Islands, a group of islands and reef in the South China Sea. Taiwan has controlled it since 1956 and has built infrastructure there, including an airstrip and a freshwater source. Second is Pratas Island or Dongsha, a group of atolls and reef in the northern part of South China Sea. Taiwan administers their island, which is strategically important due to their location near major shipping routes. Third is Zhongzhou Reef, a small reef that is strategically significant, meaning it plays a key role in the regional maritime claims. Taiwan considers it parts of their territory. Fourth, water enclosed by the U-shaped line. This refers to Taiwan claims over waters inside the U-shape or 9-line, a boundary originally drawn by the China to mark its historical claims in the South China Sea. Taiwan asserts sovereignty over their waters based on historical presence and usage. These claims are part of the broader territorial dispute in the South China Sea, involving countries like China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. The region is valuable because of its fishing groups, oil and gas reserves, and important shipping lanes.
Geopolitically significance of Taiwan's claim in the South China Sea. First, strategic military position. Why is Taiping Island strategically important? Taiping Island or Ito Aba is the largest natural features in the Spratly Islands. Taiwan maintains a Coast Guard presence, an airstrip, and a harbor for military and maritime operations. These locations allow Taiwan to monitor maritime activities in the South China Sea, control and safeguard major shipping routes, and act as a forward base in case of regional conflicts. Resource-rich waters. What economic resources are at stake? The South China Sea is home to abundant fisheries, oil, and natural gas reserves. So control over these resources is vital for Taiwan because fishing rights contributes to Taiwan's economy and food security. The potential gas and oil reserves also could reduce Taiwan's dependence on energy imports. Next is regional tension. Resource competition intensifies territorial disputes with China, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Taiwan claims overlap with several other nations, leading to ongoing disputes. China uses 9-dash line to claim sovereignty and consider Taiwan part of its territory. Philippines also challenges Taiwan controls due to its island proximity. Vietnam and Malaysia compete for control over island and resources nearby. Taiwan, unlike China, does not aggressively enforce its claim but it still faces diplomatic challenges. Influence on cross-strait relations. How does this affect Taiwan-China relations? Taiwan control over Taiping Island impacts in its international standing and relation with China. If Taiwan strengthens its military presence, China may see it as a challenge to its own claims. And if Taiwan loses controls, it could weaken its sovereignty and influence in the region. Maintaining this claim keeps Taiwan relevant in global security discussion. In conclusion, why does Taiwan's claim matter? Taiwan's presence in the South China Sea is strategically, economically, and politically significant. It plays a crucial role in security, resources control, and diplomatic relations. While Taiwan lacks full international recognitions, its control over Taiping Island ensures it continue in role in shaping South China disputes.
Unlike other claimants, Taiwan is not a member of the United Nations. This makes it difficult to enforce its claims under maritime law. Today, we will explore Taiwan's legal challenges, the 2016 Hague ruling, the how other countries, including the United States, respond. Understanding maritime law in UNCLOS. To understand Taiwan's situation, we need to look at UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. UNCLOS is a treaty that sets the rules for how countries can claim and use ocean resources. It allows nations to establish territorial waters. Territorial waters is up to 12 nautical miles from the coast, and exclusive economic zones up to 200 nautical miles from the coast. These zones give a country the right to fish, drill for oil, and use marine resources in its area. But here's Taiwan's problem. It cannot sign UNCLOS because it is not a UN member. This means it has no official legal standing when making claims under this treaty. For example, China, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia can all use UNCLOS to argue for their territorial rights. Taiwan, however, must rely on historical arguments which carry least legal weight in modern international courts. In Section 2, the 2016 abrasion ruling in its impact on Taiwan. In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague made a major ruling about the South China Sea. The ruling stated that China's broad nine-dash line claim had no legal basis. Historical arguments cannot override UNCLOS rules. Some maritime features, such as reefs and rocks, cannot be claimed as islands that generate large economic exclusive zone. This was a huge decision because Taiwan's claims were very similar to China's. Taiwan also argued that some features in the South China Sea, like Taiping Island, or also known as Ito Aba, should be considered island and not just rocks. However, the 2016 ruling classified Taiping as a rock, meaning it could not generate a 200 nautical mile DEC. This directly weakened Taiwan's legal position in the South China Sea. Taiwan rejected the ruling, but since it is not part of UNCLOS, it could not legally challenge it. Now, let us proceed to the reaction from other countries. Taiwan is not the only country with claims in the South China Sea. Other nations like the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia also want control over parts of the region. Each of these countries uses UNCLOS to justify their claims. The Philippines won the 2016 arbitration case against China, arguing that China's claims violated UNCLOS. Vietnam claims the Paracel and Spratly Island, saying they are part of its territory under UNCLOS rules. In Malaysia, claims some of the Spratly Islands based on its 200 nautical mile EEZ under UNCLOS. Since Taiwan is not part of UNCLOS, these countries do not recognize its claims in the same way they contest China. In some cases, Taiwan has tried to strengthen its presence by building infrastructure on disputed islands, but these efforts are still not backed by international law. Now, let us proceed to the United States and its allies, freedom of navigation. The United States and its allies such as Japan and Australia do not claim territory in the South China Sea, but they are involved in the dispute because of an important principle, which is the freedom of navigation. Why does this matter? The South China Sea is a major global trade route. One-third of global shipping passes through this area. If any country, whether China, Taiwan, or another, tries to restrict access, it could impact global trade. The U.S. Navy conducts freedom of navigation operation to challenge China's claims. But at the same time, the U.S. does not recognize Taiwan's sovereignty claims either. This means Taiwan has no major power fully supporting its position. Now, let us proceed the legal diplomatic future for Taiwan. Taiwan's legal and diplomatic position in the South China Sea remains complicated. Let us summarize. Taiwan is not part of the United Nations and cannot sign UNCLOS. The 2016 ruling weakened Taiwan's claims, especially regarding Taiping Island. The Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia contest Taiwan's claims based on UNCLOS. The United States supports open seas but does not officially back Taiwan's claims. So what can Taiwan do? One option is diplomatic engagement, negotiating with neighboring countries to secure bilateral agreements. Taiwan has already signed fishing agreements with countries like Japan. A similar approach could help Taiwan maintain influence in the South China Sea. Another option is strengthening its presence on disputed islands, continuing to build infrastructure and increasing Coast Guard patrols. However, this could escalate tensions with other countries. Ultimately, Taiwan's role in the South China Sea dispute remains uncertain. Without official United Nations recognition, it must rely on strategic diplomacy to defend its maritime interests. Who truly controls the South China Sea? The questions remains open.
In summary, Taiwan's claims in the South China Sea are based on historical records, post-World War II agreements, and its continued occupation of key islands. However, these claims are contested by multiple countries. and Taiwan faces diplomatic and legal challenges due to its political status. Despite these challenges, Taiwan continues to maintain a presence in the South China Sea, particularly on Taiping Island. The future of Taiwan's claims will depend on regional diplomacy, international law, and its relationships with other nations. And that concludes our discussion. Thank you for listening.